Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and today we are going to take our prototype and we're going to turn it into something that looks a lot more visually interesting. Right now I've got all these weird colors and my character is just a red, hold on, just a red capsule that kind of floats around my area with these two eyeballs. We're going to take this prototype and we're going to turn it into something nice. Um, and the way we're going to do that is with character models. So our first step is not actually in Godot. Our first step is to get our assets. Now, there are plenty of places you can find assets online. I've gone and found some assets for you so that we're making sure that we get the right things. But as you build more complicated projects, you're probably going to want to find your own assets. And even for this project, you might want to find different assets. What I found is a pack full of characters and a pack full of dungeon pieces. And there's some previews in here of what these look like. Now, I got these from K-Kit, this developer. Oh, actually, I will not do that right now. But so this developer, K-Kit, he, I'm not sure who, they develop things for 3D games and whatnot. The license here tells us, let me bring it over. It tells us that it is Creative Commons 0, meaning the content is free to use in personal, educational, and commercial projects, but we can support them if we like. I paid, I gave her a little bit of coin, gave them some change for downloading these character packs because they made some really nice ones. So I gave them a little bit of money. Okay, so let's take a look at these characters. So this character pack has a knight, looks like a barbarian style dude, a ranger. It looks like two versions of a ranger, one with hair, one with a robe on, and a mage. So these are really cool, like nice low poly looking characters. Now, if this is not the style you're going for your game, fine. Follow along using these assets and you can find your own assets to use once you get the hang of it. The reason why I like these is because not only do they look nice, but they come with a bunch of items that are already rigged and attached to the character model. You'll see what I mean when we get there. And hundreds of animations already built for each character, so you don't have to go and recreate the animations. Next week, we'll talk about how to turn these animations on and make them actually work in the game world. Okay, so that's the character. And then the dungeon pack has a bunch of wall sections and decorations that we can throw into our project to make it look really nice and not have these weird, funky looking walls. It's going to take some time to build out the level using these items because they're individual pieces. So we're going to have to kind of piece them together instead of making just one big long wall. We're going to have to piece them all together. But that's something that you can work on whenever you have some free time. Today, we just need to focus on how do we get these assets into our project. So you're going to first download these assets in zip folders. Let me find these are zip folders. You'll know they're zip folders because they have the little zipper on them. We can't do anything with the files inside the zip folder. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to actually extract these files from the zip folder. You can either click extract all and pick the place, or just do it the lazy way, like I do. Drag the folder onto your desktop and that will extract it from that folder. So make sure you extract these out of these zip folders first, then you can do the next step. Okay, so the next step is to take these folders and dump them into Godot. So I'm going to move my Godot window over here a little bit so we can see my desktop. Okay, now I need these folders to be inside my res folder, my resources folder. So I could do this in two ways. I can either find my resource folder in the File Explorer and copy those files over, or I can just take them and drop them in like this. Now this is going to take quite a while to import all these assets because there's quite a bit to them. So I'm just going to let it run while it does its thing. And I'm going to take a sip of my my Dr. Pepper over here real quick while we're waiting. Perfect. So let me go ahead and maximize my window here. I have all these notices here. We can ignore those. Just click X to get rid of those. All right, now we have two new folders. We have a characters folder and a dungeon folder. Let's take a look at the dungeon assets first. So I'm going to take a look at the assets. Now what we're looking for is GLTF. GLTF is a standard 3D model, and it is the model type that works for Godot. So if you find like an OBJ or some other 3D model type, it may not be compatible with Godot. So what you're really looking for is GLTF. All right, we have a bunch of different things here. I'm just going to grab a wall segment. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to wall. I'll just take this regular wall here. And I'm going to click on import. And I'm going to click on the advanced button so we can actually see the mesh. So we can see our wall here. Let's zoom out a bit. This is the wall segment. It is its own scene with a mesh and a so it has a mesh, and then this is another mesh, a mesh material. Okay. So what we can do is, first of all, we can set its root type. So we can tell it what type of root or what type of node we want it to be, or what name we want it to be when we bring it into our scene. We can override those here. We're not going to worry about that with this. With this, we really need to worry about its collision, right? So we need to make sure that it has a collider. What we don't want to do is we don't want to dump this in and have to build our own colliders automatically or manually, right? We want it to happen automatically. So what we can do is we can click here, click generate physics on, and it's going to create a collider around this object. Now notice that it is automatically trying to put a collider around the entire mesh exactly the way it is. That's fantastic. We can keep it like that if we want. But that's a lot of polygonal segments that it needs to calculate. It might slow down our game quite a bit if we leave it like this. So what I like to do is just make this just a square. We don't need it to be this really complicated shape. So we can come in here and go to body type. Oh, shape right here, shape. Now it's set to automatic. So I'm actually going to change it to simple convex. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it just one box. Okay, that's less calculations that need to be performed on the renderer's end, and it's going to make it run a bit smoother. I'm going to go ahead and click re-import. Now if I were to bring this wall segment out, I clicked the wrong button. I now have a wall that has a collision. Let's go ahead and test my game. I now have a wall that exists in my game and has a collider. So I can't walk through it. Okay, perfect. So you're going to want to do that with all of the objects that you're going to use in the game. So you can use, let's take a look at a doorway real quick and just, that one's a closed door. Close. Let's do maybe a arched. Yeah, that one looks, it's not what I'm looking for. I was kind of looking for like a doorway that was open. Let's see if there's one. Doorway sides. There we go. So with this, it is like a doorway piece. So let's take a look at what the collider would look like here. So the automatic collider is probably where we're going to want to go. But let's see what a simple convex. See, in this case, we wouldn't want that because we want to actually walk through this. So we'd want to change our shape to something a little bit more Trimesh works, or we can just keep it at automatic, which looks like Trimesh is what it decided to do automatically. We don't want decompose convex. So yeah, let's go back to automatic and then re-import. And then we can drop this in and test it out and see if we can walk through it. Go ahead and run. So there we go. Oh, sensitivity is way too, and I can walk through, but I am colliding with the rest of the, okay, perfect. So that's environment. That's pretty easy to do. And again, there's hundreds of objects here that you can play around with, torches and whatnot. So spend some time decorating your level, making it what you want it to be. Let's talk about our character, though. So this is where the fun really happens. So I'm going to look at the characters I have available. I have a barbarian, a knight, a mage, a rogue, and a hooded rogue. I'm just going to go with the knight. Let me go ahead and open up the properties for this knight. He looks awesome. Now, I'm noticing that he has a bunch of stuff in his hands. We'll fix that in a bit. One thing I want to do is I do want to change the root type of this node. Sorry, I clicked too fast. I want to change the root type of this guy to a character body 3D, because if we take a look over here in our scene view, let's close this. If we take a look over here, our player is a character body. And so we want to be able to use the same script and basically apply all the same things we've applied to our character to this new character, right? So the script is already written for a character body 3D. So we're going to want to use a character body 3D for this object. So I'm going to come in here, click root type, and find character body 3D and change. So now when we import this thing, it's going to import as a character body. And I'm going to change his root name to knight. And I think that's really all I need to do. Oh, actually, one more thing. I'm looking over here and I'm seeing we have a ton of objects here, but we also have a ton of animations. We're not going to use all of them. We're probably only going to use like 3 or 4. But one that I definitely want to check is my idle animation. Let's go ahead and play it. That's cool. But notice that it only plays once. So I actually want this to loop. So I'm going to change my loop mode to linear. And so when I play it, it's going to loop over and over again. And I'm going to get that really nice idle animation. All right. So let me stop that. Let's click re-import. Perfect. So now what I can do is I can actually, let's open this in its own scene so that we can make some changes to it. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to click new inherited scene. So now we have a new scene, and let's take a look at the hierarchy here. Oof, we got a lot. Okay, so let's get rid of some of this stuff. I just want him to have a sword in his right hand and a basic shield in the left hand. So what I can do is I can start turning off the eyeball for some of these things to turn them off. So I don't want that shield. Let's see. I don't want the bad shield, rectangle shield, round shield. I'll keep the spike shield. Spike shield looks nice. And I'll keep that sword. That sword looks nice too. Okay. I can actually turn off the helmet. Let me see. Let me turn off the helmet. Oh, he looks like Captain America kind of. But I like the helmet. I'm going to keep the helmet on. Let's see. I can turn off his cape. Cool. All right. Now let's take a look at its animations. So I'm going to click on the animation player here, and it should pull up my animation menu. And notice I have there's a bunch of stuff that's being animated. This is why we use pre-built models. Because to make these ourselves, it'd be a whole nother class. We'd have to actually learn a whole new skill set. 3D artists are wizards, in my opinion. It's something I'm not as good at, and I would like to get better at it someday. But let's take a look at all these animations. I want to take a look at our idle animation, and let's go ahead and play it and make sure it looks good, and it does. Oh my gosh, that looks great. Perfect. Now what I want to do is I want to set this to be my default animation. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I am not going to... I think I'm going to save animations for next time. For right now, let's just go ahead and save this scene. And I'm going to call it knight.tscn. It sounds good. And I'm going to instantiate that knight into this scene so we can take a look at it. Oof. Look at all these assets we have now. So I'm going to choose knight, and there we go. So I've instantiated my knight into the scene. Let's find him. There he is. He's hidden. He's underneath my platform there. Let's go find him. There he is. Perfect. Looks great. Now, the thing is, in the next video, next week, We're going to actually transfer all of the scripts and everything else that we wrote for this character and the camera and all that. We're going to transfer it over to our new knight character. For you, you could have chosen any of the others. It's completely up to you. I'm choosing the knight. We're going to transfer all that over to our new character. We're going to get it moving around, get the animations working. That's what we're going to focus on next week. This week, what I want you to do is just import your assets. Import some assets, change the settings for them. It's going to take a while to add colliders or do the collider for each wall section independently. And if you find yourself with some time, go ahead and start building out the level using these new pieces, right? This prototype is great, but we probably want an actual level that actually uses these art pieces, okay? All right, perfect. I'm going to leave it there and let you guys get to work. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.